Participating advertisers in Cubs baseball are Bud Light, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. Everything else is just a light. Buick. This great American pastime is brought to you by Buick, the great American road car and your better Buick dealers. United Airlines, the official airline of the Chicago Cubs. Come fly the friendly skies. Pepsi Cola, the choice of a new generation. Unical 76, who invite you to go with the spirit of 76. The Chicago Tribune, a great city deserves a great newspaper. Your neighborhood True Value hardware store. Canon, the official camera of the Chicago Cubs. Nissan Cars and Trucks, built for the most important race of all, the human race.
His name is Bud McKenzie. Ooh, party, party. With a party ship in sight. Ooh, a cold Bud Light puts him in a party frenzy.
Spuds McKenzie parties right with only Bud Light. He knows everything else is just a light.
So go, Spuds, go.
Spuds gives motion to the ocean.
Go, Spuds, go.
It's a beautiful night for baseball in St. Louis. Hello again, everybody, with Steve Stone. I'm Harry Carey, and hopefully we'll have a duplicate of a great victory last night. With Steve Stone and Harry Carey back in St. Louis, here are the lineups for tonight's game. For the Cubs, Martinez in center, Sandberg at second, Dawson in right, Durham at first, Palmero in left, Davis at catcher, Law at third base, Dunston the shortstop, and Al Nipper making his first start for the Cubs. For the Cardinals, several changes. Coleman in left, Smith at short, Burr at second, Harner at first, McGee in center, Pendleton at third, Oquendo in right, Lake the catcher, and Jose De Leon is the pitcher. The umpires are Dave Pallone working the plate, John Kibler at first, Jim Quick at second, and Eric Gregg at third. And we're ready to play baseball.
And when Jose De Leon was with Pittsburgh in 1984, he had a very good run against the Cubs. 4-0 that year, 3 complete games in 5 outings. He doesn't have the big fastball he used to have, but he does have a very good forkball. Steve Lake behind the plate. Going to be difficult to run on tonight. De Leon has worked very hard in quickening up his move to first base, and he gets rid of the ball quickly to home, so he's become tough to steal against. That was one of his problems with the Pirates.
During his career, he has won 4 and lost 4 against the Chicago Cubs, De Leon, who then pitched for the Pirates. The White Sox traded him to the Cardinals. And here's Davey Martinez, the big star of last night's ball game. Greg Maddux, the outstanding pitcher last night, prematurely celebrating a birthday, which will fall on Thursday, the 14th of April. Strike one call. Martinez hitting .355. There's Maddux. He's still 21 years old. Good. That was kind of a backdoor curveball.
Maddux gave a whole lot of credit to Dick Pohl, Harry, for teaching him a whole lot about that curveball, and he had a dandy last night.
0-2 the count. Inside a fastball. Jamie Moyer talking to Vance Law. He'll pitch tomorrow. There you see Al Nipper next to him. Here's the pitch. Fly ball in the right center field. It's going to be caught by Oquendo. Oquendo raced in the right center for Martinez's long drive. 1 out.
And this was the forkball. Dave Martinez stays with it. Drives it into right field, but Jose Oquendo, a very handy man on the ball club, comes over and makes the catch.
There you see Jose De Leon. Here's Ryan Sandberg. He has 2 homers, 4 RBIs, hitting .179.
Danny Cox.
He's working for the Cardinals tomorrow. Here's a pitch inside. One out, nobody on. Crowd smaller tonight. Curve in there, a beauty. Kind of came from the side with that one. 1 ball, 1 strike. De Leon lost his first start of the season to Cincinnati. He threw the ball by him. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out.
In that first ball game, De Leon didn't have any control. He walked 6 men in 3 2/3 innings. He was charged with 4 earned runs, and they lost the ball game 8-1 to the Reds.
1 ball, 2 strikes. He struck him out. There was that fork ball, and Sandberg goes down swinging.
It's been a good pitch for him. Take another look at it. The bottom falls out. Nice pickup by Steve Lake, who tagged Sandberg. De Leon has changed his style. He now tries to sink the ball, turn it over, and so consequently he's lost the big fastball, but he's still got a very good forkball.
Now ready. Dawson tried to check his swing. He fouled the ball out of play. You know, 7 different games. Jose De Leon flirted with a no-hitter. He's had near misses. 6 1/3 innings against San Diego. 8 1/3 inning against the Mets. Swung and he missed. Boy, he seems to have his stuff so far tonight. But the game is early. 6 2/3 innings against the Reds. 7 innings against the Atlanta Braves. He struck him out. 1, 2, 3, nothing at all. Going to bottom of the first, no score. Harry Carey and Steve Stone from St. Louis. 29-year-old Al Nipper, who makes his home in suburban St. Louis, will make his first start for the Cubs.
This spring, Al was 1-1 with a 6.05 ERA in 6 games, and he got off to a very fast start last year. In April with the Red Sox, he was 3-0 with a 2.86 ERA, and the Cubs are hoping that he can duplicate that. Jody's got the big hit tonight because Al's going to throw a knuckleball a little more frequently. Dick Cole said he wants to see him throw it. It's a good one. The only problem with the big glove is it's tough to find the ball in there when you have to throw out base runners. So let's the Cardinals try to exploit that.
Vince Coleman leads it off, batting only 107. Andy Alcock and Roger Meyer drove up from Harrisburg, Illinois, to pull for the Cubs. Vince Coleman. He's only stolen 2 bases. He's had 3 hits. There you see Don Zimmer along with Dick Pole, the pitching coach. Strike call. The count is evened up. There's Whitey Herzog. They opened up a beer garden in the Union Station. Boy, you ought to see the job they've done with that Union Station. Now the pitch, here it is. Curve in there. You know, they have shopping centers, all kinds of restaurants. They've really done a remarkable job. The guy who did it's a man who rebuilt Baltimore. And there was talk about him doing something with the Navy Pier in Chicago. And boy, it wouldn't be a bad idea to turn them loose on that Navy Pier. I don't know what happened in Chicago, but boy, oh boy, what they have done. Herzog's going to open a restaurant along with Jimmy Rittenberg of Chicago a little bit later on in August. In the meantime, he's got a beer garden there, the Herzog Beer Garden. Ball 3. And here's a big pitch, because when Coleman gets on, the ball game starts for the Cardinals.
He's really the key to the offense, and he's hitting just 107. One of the reasons why the Cardinals are not scoring.
3-2 pitch. Bouncing ball, foul.
Nipper's not overpowering. He's got 5 or 6 different pitches. Dick Cole said he's worked on a screwball, and he's got a pretty good one that he'd like to see him throw away from the left-hand hitters. Said it's good enough to even throw to some right-hand hitters, but he's going to throw a lot more knuckleballs tonight. And his job is to keep Coleman off base. If he can do that, he's got a leg up on the Cardinals.
3-2 the count. He walked him. And of course, that gives the Cardinals great hope of breaking out in front in this game, because Coleman will probably try to steal.
And you know that they understand that Jody Davis has got the big glove for the knuckleball. Sometimes a catcher will reach in there, and it's very difficult to locate the ball right away. You lose at just an instant, and that's all a base runner needs.
Throw to first. You know, they even have a great hotel in that train station, the Omni International Hotel. They're connected with the Omni Ambassador East in Chicago. Antonio Torres, the general manager. There goes a runner. There's a peg. They got a chance. Whoa, the throw gets away. A bad throw. I better have him.
The Cubs guessed right, and then no execution. The pitch out, throw to second base is down, and Coleman and the ball arrive at the same time. It hits off Coleman, then off Sean, and then rolls away. Watch it again. Tough to throw this man out.
Well, Jody had the pitch out on, and he had him running, and he could have thrown him out, but didn't. That's his third stolen base of the year. One's foul. Dave Colella, the general manager of the Ambassador East, an Omni Hotel. I made reservations at this hotel for us the next 2 trips into St. Louis.
Oh, good. We'll be right by Whitey's Beer Garden.
Yeah. 1 ball, 1 strike. Again, Dunston cuts in behind a runner, but there's no play.
Whitey was showing you what he thinks of his offense, trying to bunt with Smith, trying to get a run across early.
The pitch. Curve inside. 2 balls and a strike. Boy, that would have been a real break for Al Nipper had Coleman been thrown out. They had the pitch out called. Base hit, and a score run. 1-0 in favor of the Cardinals. A double by Ozzie Smith. And that's how easy the Cardinals can score when Coleman gets on base.
Ozzie's trying to do the right thing by pulling the ball, and he winds up with a 2-base hit. RBI number 4 for Smith. He drives it into the corner. And once again, Coleman getting on, sets it all up.
Here's Tommy Herr now. Herr digging in. Strike call. Dan Rath from Little Rock, who's originally from Racine, Wisconsin. Sportsman down there from one of the TV stations. And Mike Browning, also from Little Rock, a native of Decatur. That's Skeffington country. The knuckleball goes outside. Getting away from Jody Davis. Tommy Herr, the batter. That was Ozzie Smith's 4th run batted in this year. Ground ball, nice play by Durham. And he's out at first base. Smith going to third. Durham to Nipper, took care of her.
Fine play by Leon Durham, and take a look at Al Nipper. He'll get the throw, and then he'll turn back toward the infield because he knows that Ozzie Smith is rounding third. Good solid throw by Durham. Al turns around looking all the way at Ozzie. Well executed.
That's a play that shows the importance of having a left-handed first baseman. That ball was hit to the right of Durham, would have been a hit. There's a line drive base hit. And it's 2-0 Cardinals.
This is why they signed Bob Horner, to knock runs. It's a breaking ball up in his eyes past the diving Dunston. And the Cardinals go on top by 2.
I tell you, I don't think Dunston really saw that ball. He had a very late jump on it. Here's Wood in the game. 2-0 Cardinals. They've come out swinging. There's another hit. Left center field. And there's a throw in his second. Horner holds up. McGee drops a single in left center.
Everybody hitting the first pitch, and out comes Don Zimmer to talk with Al Nipper, who's taking his lumps here in the first inning. Sends somebody down to the bullpen. We're going to get some action. And Zim wants to slow things down, give Al a chance to get his breath.
Zimmer comes out slowly. Drew Hall warming up in the bullpen. The big thing in this inning was walking Vince Coleman. You could tell the way the Cardinals began to swing the bats that that's all they were waiting for, Coleman to get on base. When he stole second, you knew that's all they were waiting for.
Harry, last night in the gem by Greg Maddux, he did not allow the leadoff man to reach base in any inning. And that really takes a lot away from the Cardinals because it negates the running game.
All right, here's Terry Pendleton, who kept Maddux from getting his second straight shutout. His broken bat single with 2 out drove in the only run. Strike call. 0-1 the count. Pendleton hitting .273. Pitch a little bit inside. Jan Johnson and Gloria are here from Aurora. 1-1 pitch to Pendleton. A little bit outside. You know, Nipper last year won 11, lost 12 for the Red Sox. He pitched 6 complete games out of 30 starts. The pitch, a little bit outside.
Right now he's getting everything up, and that's really hurting him.
Pendleton ready to hit this pitch if it's good. 2-0 Cardinal. He had a cut and he missed it. Jamie Moyer against Danny Cox in tomorrow's game. 12:30 ball game tomorrow, and then it'll be home sweet home. There go the runners. Bounce foul. With 1 out, count 3-2. The runners broke, but Pendleton fouled it off. We're due back in Chicago at 6:30 tomorrow.
It'll be good to get home. It's been a long time.
I'm going to go down and check the cash register.
Well, I'll go down and help you eat some of the profits up.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Cardinals out in front, 2-0. He swung at a bad ball. Nipper got a break there.
One thing you know about the Cubs ball club this year is if you can hold him to a few runs early, your team's got enough firepower to come back. And right here, Nipper would love to get the ground ball. If he gets out of this inning with just 2 or even 3 runs scored, your team is always in the game.
Boston Red Sox beat Milwaukee 3-1 as Lee Smith picked up the save. Kansas City leads Baltimore 3-1. Baltimore with a new manager, Frank Robinson. High pop foul out of play.
Boy, you sounded like a prophet, Harry. Last night you said 6 losses in a row and maybe Johnny Oates will get the job pretty soon. You were right about the move.
Yeah, but I had the wrong man.
But it was Frank Robinson who got the job.
Runners first and second, 1 out. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Again, he fouls it off. He's a pesky hitter up there. He's giving Nipper a lot of trouble. The base on balls to Coleman started it off. The first place Cleveland Indians lead Minnesota 5-2 in the bottom of the 4th. The Yankees wallop at Toronto yesterday, are doing their own walloping today, leading 7-0. There's a drive way back. It might be out of here. Near the wall, it's caught by Andre Dawson. And Horner now advances to third base. After the catch. Boy, oh boy, that'll give you an idea how hard it is to hit a home run here.
Boy, this is a rocket into right center field. Andre Dawson going back. He measures the ball. He's got it all the way. You can see him motioning at Dave Martinez. And only the spacious surroundings here kept this one in.
Boy, as well as that ball was hit, look at it. It was still about 10 feet away from the wall.
And Jody going out to talk with Nipper. What he wants to talk about is Willie McGee breaking off first base and what he's going to do with the throw. Now, you don't anticipate Bob Horner doing anything fancy, but the Cardinals like to put a lot of pressure on you, and they've got their speed on the bases.
The Chicago Blackhawks are playing the St. Louis Blues in hockey. The Blues lead 3-1, so the Blackhawks must win. The game is tied 1-1 in the first period. 1 ball, no strikes. Runners first and third. Cardinals leading 2-0. Oquendo takes it outside. Oquendo hits out of a low crouch.
Al's a veteran, but he is new in this league, and he's going to have to be careful to make a complete hesitation so that the umpires won't call a balk on him. He is taking his time so far on the stretch.
He breaks his contact with the rubber. There's Bob Horner. There's a high fly ball will end the inning. Martinez is there, and it's 2 runs for the Cardinals on 3 hits on the walk. 2 men left on base. At the end of 1, the Cardinals lead 2. St. Louis, we go into the top of the second. Cardinals are out in front, 2-0. Boy, that Rouse Company, who did the Inner Harbor in Baltimore, has done another remarkable job at that railroad station here in St. Louis. I can't believe it. I remember I used to take the train at that station. You never know it was a train station. The big hotel, the Omni Hotel, and it's all part of the setup. You remember Baltimore, of course.
Of course, the Inner Harbor is a beautiful area, and now Dave Pallone's going out to talk with Jose De Leon. He wants to look at the ball, I think. Oh, it's the chain. There's a rule that you can't wear a chain if you're a pitcher, and so they're asking him to take it off. Keep the chains, Harry.
They're sure getting touchy about very inconsequential things in baseball.
Well, they want to abide by the rules. No unfair advantage for the pitcher. Boy, we can't get a break out there. You know, They let him use tape and pine tar, and the poor pitcher's got to try to get him out.
Ball 3 high. Three balls, no strikes. Ball 4, and Durham is on. Now that's the Cubs' chance. If De Leon gets a little wild, he walked 6 Reds in getting beat the other day. Here's Palmeiro hitting .304.
Steve Lake said that De Leon has quickened up his motion because now that he's not really a power pitcher, he doesn't have to have the high leg kick. So if you watch his front foot, he doesn't lift it off the ground very high and comes right at the hitter.
Now the pitch by De Leon. A high pump fly and a short right easy out. Oquendo is there, and he has it. Palmeiro swung at the first pitch. Flies out to Oquendo. There's Jody Davis. The Mets beat Montreal 3-0 today. Houston and Atlanta tied up 3-3 in the second inning. Detroit knocked off Texas 4-1. Cleveland leads Minnesota 3-2 in the fourth. Yankees lead Toronto 7-0 in the fifth. Boston beat Milwaukee 3-1. There's a curve strike. And Kansas City in the fourth leads Baltimore 3-1. Baltimore changed managers. Frank Robinson replaced Cal Ripken Sr. Her fastball in there, a strike call. I would imagine, boy, he's especially tough on right-handed hitters.
He's a different pitcher than the Cubs saw when he was with Pittsburgh. He used to have the blazing fastball and a hard breaking slider. Now he throws a fastball around 86 with a great forkball.
Here's the pitch. Inside. 7 different times he's had a no-hit game going. Even in '83 for 8 1/3 innings against the Mets. He was tied 0-0. He left the game with a one-hitter in the 10th inning, still tied 0-0. Pittsburgh eventually lost 1-0. Low ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
The word with De Leon is if you can stay close, you can beat him. 11-12 last year. He had 31 starts. He only completed 2 games. Averaged a little over 4 walks a game last year, but averaged about 7 strikeouts a game.
The 2-2 pitch. He struck him out. Strikeout number 3. And here's Vance Law, hitting .286 for the year. No homers, 2 RBI.
Jose is a big man at 6'3", 215 pounds, out of Rancho Viejo, Dominican Republic. Now lives in Perth Amboy, New Jersey.
There's a drive way back in the left field. If it stays fair, home run. Holy cow. Vance Law just tied it up. A home run over the left field wall, just fair inside the foul pole. Holy cow. You don't expect him to hit homers, but he did hit 12 at Montreal a year ago. He's happy about it. That's how quick you can tie it up.
And what an addition to this ball club. Vance Law has done everything that Don Zimmer has asked, defensively, offensively, running the bases, and another $200.
$200 from True Value Hardware to Cubs Care in the fight against cancer. One ball, no strikes. Dunston takes a strike call.
Take another look at it. Vance Law driving it down the line. Looks like a high breaking ball up in his eyes. And the Chicago Tribune round tripper shows the home run went about 340 feet.
So it's all tied up now, 2-2. Dunston in the hole, 1-2. Jose De Leon ready. Ooh, he had a good cut. You know, the Cubs did not hit a home run last night. That was the first time this year they had not hit a home run in a game. So Vance Law makes it 6 out of the 7 games in which the Cubs have hit at least a single home run. Swings a little tap. He's got a chance to beat it all. He does. Leon could not come up with the ball.
I think they're going to give Sean a base hit.
Oh, they have to give him a hit on that.
And they do. A tough play for Jose De Leon. Sean squibs it off the end of the bat. And after De Leon misses it on the first shot, there is no chance to get Dunston.
De Leon was waiting for it to come up to him, but it didn't. It kept rolling on the turf. Here's Hal Nipper now. 2-2 tie. A high pop fly. It'll be caught. Vince Coleman one-hands the ball. And the Cubs get 2 runs. 2 hits. No errors, 1 left. They go in the bottom of the second, all tied up at 2. To be with the Cubs. The catcher for the Cardinals leads it off. The Cardinals have 2 runs on 3 hits. The Cubs 2 runs on 2 hits.
Lake getting his first start of the year. He's picked up some action as a late inning defensive replacement. Very nice man. Lives in Phoenix, Arizona in the wintertime.
1 ball, no strikes. The pitch. Come on, Nipper, let's go now. A walk to the leadoff man in the first inning led to 2 runs. 2 balls and no strikes on Lake. There's a base hit. Lake lines a single to left. And that's what happened. Even weak hitters become 300 hitters when the count is 2-0 and 3-1, and they know you have to throw them a fastball.
Let's take another look at Vance Law. This tied up the score. You can see the curveball. De Leon wrapped his wrist, and then he tried to throw the curveball too hard. Nothing happens. It just stays up and spins.
The Blackhawks are getting beat 3-1 in the first period in hockey here in St. Louis by the Blues. Lake on at first base. Here's De Leon. He's trying to bunt. They're charging him. They have a chance of getting a force play on Steve Lake.
Very difficult to lay down an effective sacrifice bunt on AstroTurf, especially if you're not used to it, and De Leon hasn't hit in a while.
Strike 2 call, a curveball. 0-2. Seems to me that's his best pitch, a curveball. He hasn't been throwing many tonight. Been throwing a knuckleball and a fastball.
Well, he's been falling behind, Harry, and it's tough to come back when you're not overpowering.
He tried to bunt. He bunts foul. He's out of there. De Leon strikes out, trying to bunt. And that brings up Vince Coleman.
Vince Coleman.
Drew Hall still getting ready in the bullpen.
You don't want to throw Vince Coleman too much off-speed stuff because they're playing him around toward left center. There's a big gap in right center, and the only pitch that Coleman can pull is a soft breaking curveball or perhaps a screwball that he gets ahead of the bat out. So you got to be careful to pitch the way you're playing him defensively.
Coleman, who drew the walk in the first inning, scored. A little bit low, ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes. A lot of hullabaloo about the balks. Tom Trebleheart in Milwaukee said, Phil Niekro cheated for 40 years and they're trying to make it up in 1 year. Ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Vince Coleman at the plate. Nipper has been wild. Pitching behind hitters. Strike called over the inside corner. 2 balls and a strike.
Coleman really improved his hitting last year under the tutelage of the hitting instructor Johnny Lewis.
He missed the ball, missed the pitch, and the runner goes to second base. Coleman missed it, and so did Jody Davis.
We'll take a look and see if this is a knuckleball. Jody's never caught a knuckleball. It looks like it's just a straight fastball that hit off Jody's glove. Jody's had a couple of pass balls in the early going.
So now the man's in scoring position. 1 out. Nipper getting ready. Pulled it foul. Houston leading at Atlanta 5-3 in the third. The Mets shut out Montreal 3-0. Ozzie Smith on deck. Outside. Ball 3.
You can see Don Zimmer saying, "What was that pitch?" Don, it was the screwball, and it missed outside.
3-2. Ball 4. Oh, he's having all kinds of trouble. That's the second time Coleman has walked. We're in the bottom of the second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 men have reached base already. 2 on walks and 4 on hits.
You can see Don Zimmer starting to get up on the edge of the bench, and it's always a tough call for a manager. When to go out and get your pitcher, especially a man making his first start. You know he's got to be nervous, trying to impress a new ball club. Don so far has been patient. He's had the bullpen going. Drew Hall should be pretty loose by now, but you want to give Nipper a chance to get himself acclimated if he can.
Ozzie Smith way high and outside.
He doesn't have a consistent release point. He's throwing some pitches down, some pitches up. He's not very comfortable on the mound, and if he doesn't find it soon, he's going to fall deeper into trouble.
The pitch to Ozzie. Ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. I would imagine this is the last man he's going to face. Double play ball. Out at second for 1. Out at first for 2 and out of the inning. He is the last man he faced. He ended the inning by getting Ozzie Smith to hit in a double play. 4-6-3. So at the end of 2 innings, it's still tied. Look at that inning-ending double play.
A very snappy 4-6-3. It's tough to double Ozzie, but they do it. And for that inning-ending double play, Turtle Wax will donate $100 to Cubs Care.
Here's Martinez to lead it off in the third. 2-2 tie. De Leon's pitch. Strike on the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. A high hopper to Ozzie. Throws the first for the out. And that brings up Sandberg. 1 out. We're in the third.
Watching Ozzie play shortstop is a testament to position. He doesn't have the great arm anymore, but he always seems to be in the right place. He knows the hitters very well. He knows how his pitcher's going to pitch him, and he doesn't ever seem to be fooled. That time he played him up the middle, and it paid off.
I think he's one out, nobody on. Swings and he misses. I think he's at his best, and he is an AstroTurf type of shortstop. I don't think he's quite as good on the grass because the ball doesn't get to him fast, and I don't think his arm, therefore, is really as strong as most shortstops' arm. But not that he doesn't do a heck of a job on grass as well as AstroTurf. 1-2. He struck out Sandberg in the first.
I think he's going to go to that forkball once again. Rhino has had a habit with 2 strikes of really expanding his strike zone. And usually he'll swing at something down in the dirt out of the strike zone if you get ahead of him. So let's see if he has some patience.
1-2. Struck him out on the outside corner. Sandberg called out on strikes. That's 2 away.
I think Rhino was looking for the off-speed pitch. De Leon shook it off and then threw the fastball right down the middle.
Here's Dawson. He fanned also in the first inning. De Leon looks like he'd be very tough against right-handed hitters. 2 out, nobody on. Curve in there, a strike call. He's got a curve, he's got a forkball, he's got a fastball, and I guess he also throws a slider.
He's got them all. Not overpowering anymore, but he's still pretty tough.
He swings and misses. 0-2. 2 out. 2-2 tie. We're in the top of the third. Into the dirt, bounces away and hit Lake on the side of the head.
Interesting garb.
The Cub bench is pretty intent. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's a fly ball, and the left field will be caught. Vince Coleman has it. 1, 2, 3 again. We go into the bottom of the third, tied up 2-all. Harry Carey back in St. Louis. The Yankees lead Toronto 7-2. Detroit beat Texas 4-1. Boston over Milwaukee 3-1. Cleveland leads Minnesota 6-3. Kansas City out in front of Baltimore 6-1. Frank Robinson making his debut as manager of the Baltimore Orioles, having replaced Cal Ripken Sr. today. There's Tommy Hurt. Al Nipper gets ready to pitch. Fastball low. Nipper, a local product. A lot of his friends watching him pitch here tonight.
Al made a good pitch to get out of that second inning. And he's been rocky in the first 2, but he's still in the ball game. If he shuts him down, his team's going to score some runs.
He swings and he misses. Nipper lives in Chesterfield, Missouri, which is a suburb of St. Louis. Graduated from Hazelwood West High School. Went to college at Northeast Missouri State. 1 ball, 1 strike. A bouncing ball to his right, Sandberg. Nice pickup by Leon Durham. Great play by Durham. That was a tough play to make.
This is a play usually Rhino will bounce the ball on the AstroTurf and it'll get there just as quickly, but he chooses to try to make the throw all the way. And watch the ball. Great pickup, and he gets him out. Watch it again. Tough play up the middle, and it's very difficult to get much on the throw.
I think he just missed the AstroTurf.
You think he tried to bounce it there?
Yeah. 1 out, nobody on. Here's Harner. He drove in the run in the first inning. 1 strike and nothing.
Got to keep the ball away from Bob Horner. He's very strong. He's got quick hands inside. They like to throw him a lot of off-speed stuff. Let him lift the ball to center field. Try to keep it down so he doesn't hit it out. He's very strong.
The pitch. A little bit inside. He has a short, compact swing. That's what Davey Martinez has, too, for the Cubs. The 1-1 pitch. The low. 2 balls and a strike. 1 out. Game tied up 2-all. Strike call. There's Jerry Mumphrey with the bat talking to Manny Trio. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You like to see your veterans standing around talking about hitting. That's what Mumphrey is talking to him about.
Al Nipper getting ready. Bob Horner waiting at the plate. 30-year-old first baseman. Ball 3. 3-2. Kansas. Attractive people in this ballpark. He walked and ball 4. Boy, that's really keeping him in trouble. That's a 3rd base on ball.
Center fielder, Willie McGee.
There's Willie McGee. He singled to left center in the 1st. Ozzie Smith drove in the 1st run in the 1st inning. Horner then drove in the 2nd run. Nice play by Sandberg. Horner advances to second base. Sandberg had to come far to his left for a high hopper, and he threw out Willie McGee.
3rd baseman, Terry Pendleton.
Willie McGee and Terry Pendleton know they haven't been hitting, and Arnie was here early today. Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they each took about an hour of special batting practice. Here's Pendleton, who drove in the only run last night. Flied out deep to Dawson. Swung at a curve and he missed it. 0-1 the count.
Well, Willie McGee has gotten off to a slow start, and he knows they're going to pitch around Bob Horner in many situations, so he's going to be called on to drive in some big runs. Last year, Willie McGee had a decent year at 285, a big year at RBIs with 105.
There's a curve inside. A ball and a strike. 2 out. A man at second base. 2-2 tie. Pendleton hit the ball very hard his first time up. Now the pitch. Here it is. Swung and he missed.
And that was the screwball, and a good one by Al Nipper.
It looks like Nipper's got a wide assortment of pitches.
Well, he's got 5 or 6. Dick Cole told me that he's not the kind of pitcher that has outstanding stuff, but he's got enough pitches to keep the hitter off balance. He's a battler. He picked up a lot of innings for Boston over the last 4 years.
The pitch. A bouncing ball. Tough play. He is out to retire the side. Sandberg made a fine play. No runners. No hits. No errors. 1 man left. Dwayne Stats will be joining Steve in a moment. Harry Carey from St. Louis. At the end of 3, we're tied up 2-2.
4th inning. It's a 2-2 ball game. Leon Durham up there with a count of 1 strike. Bounces this one up the right side. With Steve Stone and our producer director Artie Harris, this is Dwayne Stats. Nice to have you with us. Al Nipper is still trying to find anything right now. And meanwhile, Jose De Leon, good arm, 2-run home run by Vance Law, and the Cubs are all even.
I think Gal Nipper had a tough first 2 innings. Now he seems to be throwing the ball well. Ryan Sandberg had a very good outing in that last inning, and I know what Louis Armstrong felt like his whole life with his voice.
A ball, 2 strikes the count. This one wide. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count to Durham. Durham, Palmeiro, and Davis for the Cubs in the 4th inning. And a tough start for Nipper, but he has survived. A couple of great plays behind him. Ryan Sandberg putting on a clinic at second base in the 3rd inning.
Well, he had every play you could make. He went to either side and then came in for the last out.
Durham slaps this one into center, a base hit to the right of her. He's going to go for 2. McGee's throw will not be in time, and Leon Durham aboard for the 2nd straight time, picking up his 2nd double of the year.
This is just good base running by Leon. He realizes that Willie McGee's going to get to the ball first, and Willie McGee's going to take at least 5 steps after getting to the ball to slow down and get the ball back in. So McGee gets it, and by the time he can get it back in, the bull's in at second base. Good heads up running, and we'll watch it one more time. Now watch McGee. 1, 2, 3, at least 5, and the bull's in easily.
Durham represents the potential lead run, and here's Rafael Palmeiro. Bouncing ball off the breaking pitch, foul ball, strike 1.
I think I'd like to see Rafael a little more patient in waiting for the best pitch in a sequence for him to hit. He's been very aggressive up there, but he's swinging at some pitches that might not be in the zone he's looking for, especially first pitch breaking balls.
This one down and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rafael's wife on the right side of your screen there, and Karen Phelps, Jamie Moyer's fiance. Jamie's going to work the game here tomorrow. The pitch is down, 2 balls and a strike.
It's a good look at Rafael Palmeiro, the youngster hitting over 300 coming in and playing a rapidly improving left field.
Durham at second with a leadoff double. Wave and a miss. Palmeiro saw the pitch up and liked it. 2-2. Al Nipper's got that pitching hand wrapped up. Sitting alongside the Cub pitching coach, Dick Pohl. That's a foul ball. Count holding at 2-2.
Joe Altobelli made a good observation before the game. He was talking about the swing of Palmeiro, and he said until a youngster has about 2,000 at bats at the major league level, he doesn't like to see him swing real hard all the time trying to hit the ball out of the park. He says Palmeiro is under control all the time, and as he gets a little older, he'll be able to really turn on the ball consistently. Right now, like a lot of good young hitters, he'll hit the ball the other way, but suddenly a light will turn on and he'll start driving a lot of pitches to left, to right, and right center.
He takes this one away, and the count goes to 3-2. We saw some glimmerings of that last year with Palmeiro. I think he knows that he's in the middle of the lineup in a run-producing situation, and at times it goes back to what you said earlier about him. He is a little anxious to drive in runs. He gets under this one and lost a fly ball short center field. McGee under it and makes the catch. 1 out.
I think there's a danger, Dwayne, in seeing what slot you're in at the batting order and then saying to yourself, well, because I'm hitting 5th, I've got to become this type of hitter, or I'm hitting 3rd or 4th, whatever the case may be. The only kind of hitter you can be is the abilities you possess, and if you're hitting 5th or 6th or 7th, you have to swing the way you feel comfortable, and I think Rafael will learn a lot more of that as he goes along.
Here's Jody Davis. Jody fanned his first time up there. And the pitch is too high, ball 1. Just same kind of situation when a hitter's up there. Not in this situation with a man in scoring position. Sometimes a pitcher will take advantage of a hitter's willingness, and even more than that, I guess, his over anxiousness to try to drive in the run. This one down and away, and a lot of pitchers will get hitters to chase bad pitches as a result.
Take a look at how shallow Vince Coleman is in left field. I can't believe that. Jody Davis has got some pop, and Vince Coleman is playing him like he's a left-handed opposite field hitter. Jody could burn him with a drive over his head if he gets anything into the swing.
He took a rip, and the count is 2-1. Jody had a base hit last night in the 4-run seventh. Into this one with a 5-game hitting streak. And he's under this one. A pop up. Hers out there from second base making the call. 2 gone. So both Palmeiro and Davis retired on the heels of the leadoff double by Durham.
Third baseman Vance
Ozzie Smith playing a little possum out there with a baseball just in case.
It'll be interesting to see if De Leon pitches to Vance Law. Now, he hit a home run off him last time, and he remembers that he hung him a breaking ball. He's got first base open, and Sean Dunston due up next. Steve Lake is looking into the dugout. He wants to know what they want to do with Vance Law, and we'll see in a moment.
Law's impact on this club has already been significant in the first week of the season. The pitch up and in. Moves him back. Ball 1.
Well,
that's a calling card.
That shows you he remembers the home run.
Law scored the winning run on 2 occasions. Scored the tying run once in the come from behind victory. And day before yesterday drove home the winning run with a 10th inning single. Wave and a miss. Runs the count to 1-1.
Now he's asking Dave Pallone if that pitch was a strike. He wants to know just how high the strike zone is, and Pallone is letting him know one way or the other. It looked to me a little high and out of the strike zone.
Durham with the lead. Ozzie Smith breaking behind him, but no throw back there. 4th inning of the ball game, middle game of this 3-game series. St. Louis with 2 in the first. Cubs back with 2 in the second on Vance Law's first home run in a Cub uniform, extending Law's hitting string to 7. He fouls this one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cubs facing 27-year-old right-hander Jose De Leon tonight. Came up with the Pirates, on to the White Sox, and now the Cardinals. Did he go? Yes, he did, says John Kibler at first. Law is out on strikes to retire the side. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. Bottom of the 4th inning coming up. 2-2 tie. We go to the bottom half of inning 4 from St. Louis. The Cubs and the Cardinals tied 2-2. Jose Oquendo playing right field tonight leads it off for the Cardinals. Bottom 3 in the order: Oquendo, Lake, and then De Leon.
Whitey Herzog has inserted him in the lineup to get a little more offense. He's been a good hitter for them.
Nipper misses with the first pitch. Ball 1. Early Nipper had command of absolutely nothing. There's a strike on the outside part of the plate.
Still sounds to me like a martial art. I must warn you, before you pick on me, I know Oquendo.
The 1-1. This one too low. 2 balls and a strike.
He's made himself a very good hitter since coming over from the New York Mets. He had a reputation as a great glove man, and now he's hitting the ball from both sides of the plate.
There's a foul ball headed out of play. He was a little overmatched when he first came up, but he was just a baby at that time. He's matured a little bit, a little stronger, more confident now. He rolls this one in front of Nick Leva. Foul.
Al Nipper needs a good inning, trying to keep the pitches to a minimum. He threw a lot of pitches in the first 2. Has not had a 1-2-3 inning yet. And for your first start of the year, you don't want to get into that 130 pitch area if you can help it.
another foul ball out of play. So the count to Oquendo holding right there at 2 balls 2 strikes.
Al is getting his next start on April 23rd. They're going to basically go with a 4-man rotation.
This one a little bit inside. So the count 3-2. Oquendo is a hitter. Has studied Rod Carew a lot and adopts the same approach. Ground ball, second base, Sandberg. To Durham. Rhino has been busy. Take a look at the location of this pitch when Oquendo goes after it.
Right down off the ground. And you're right, Sandberg is having to be alert out there. He's getting a lot of ground balls. Looks like Nipper's throwing a pretty good sinker.
Here's Steve Lake. He pops it up, foul ball. It's going to be out of play, strike 1. Well, you could tell early Don Zimmer on the verge of maybe giving Nipper the hook, but he got the double play in the second inning that got him out of a jam. This one too low. 1 ball 1 strike.
I think that's the type of pitcher Al Nipper is going to be. I think he's going to be a battler because he doesn't have overpowering stuff. He's going to use a lot of pitches, but the fact that he made so many starts and threw so many innings for Boston shows he's tough.
Ground ball, foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. There's a look at the former Cub, Steve Lake, now 31 years old. Lake hit .251 last year with 2 home runs and 19 runs batted in for St. Louis. This one too low, 2-2.
Cubs were very impressed with how hard Al Nipper worked in spring training, and he came over with that kind of reputation. Roger Clemens said he'll miss Nipper because Nipper was the guy that got him to work a little more, and you need those kind of guys on your staff.
He misses inside with this one. Jose De Leon, the pitcher, will be next. 1 out with the bases empty. And a long drive to deep left field. That ball is gone. He made a mistake to Lake, and St. Louis takes a 3-2 lead. Lake 2 for 2 tonight.
No doubt about that one. That was back in the mezzanine seats. Looked like a high changeup, and Steve Lake gave it a ride.
Well, Lake has made some progress as a hitter since coming to St. Louis. And here's the home run pitch.
First home run, first RBI, right up in the eyes of Steve Lake. No doubt about it.
The ground ball up the middle and through into center field, a base hit. De Leon jumps on the first pitch and singles. The 6th Cardinal hit of the game.
Left fielder, Vince.
Now we go to the top of the batting order. Vince Coleman, who'll hit for the 3rd time. He's walked twice.
That's going to send the bullpen busy one more time. Well, Whitey Herzog, with his club last in the league in hitting, decided to make a couple of changes. Inserted Oquendo and Lake in the lineup, and Steve Lake has delivered as you look at Drew Hall.
Coleman, who walked 70 times last year, had not walked coming into this game yet this year, but he has 2 bases on balls tonight. And the pitcher, Jose Oquendo, at first. The pitch is too low, ball 1. Coleman continues this year to attempt to cut down on the strikeouts. He had a very good year offensively last year, hitting .289. He loops this one foul the other way, headed for the stands. So the count is 1-1. Coleman stealing 100 bases for the 3rd straight year last year. 109 steals. Up there with 1 on and 1 out. That's De Leon, the pitcher. Inside, down and in, 2-1.
Sutcliffe had an interesting theory. He said he didn't think he'd steal 100 this year because with the new balk rule, he'll probably be balked to second base 30 or 40 times.
To look at Sutcliffe in the Cub dugout. Down and in. So Nipper once again behind Coleman, 3-1. Oquendo grounded out, and Lake hit the home run. Ground ball right side, and this one Sandberg cannot get to. Base hit. Oquendo's trying to go to third, and the throw's going to get him. He's out at third. De Leon, the pitcher, rounded second and had no shot against Dawson.
Boy, this is a terrible base running play. A pitcher who doesn't run particularly well. The ball is hard hit. And for some reason, Jose De Leon had visions of being Vince Coleman. He even trips around second base, and the throw is right on the money. He kind of settles down before he makes that slide. Let's watch it again. This is more like a landing than a slide, and he's gunned out by plenty.
Well, I don't know what De Leon was thinking, if he was thinking anything. And now Ozzie Smith is the hitter. Tossed to first, and Coleman is back in. So a base hit for Coleman, the 7th for St. Louis. He's on for the 3rd straight time. And De Leon cut down, trying to run on Dawson and right. Pitch out, but nothing doing.
Well, you're tempted to try another pitch out right here because you'd think that this is the place where Vince Coleman would be running. He's got 3 stolen bases, including 1 in the 1st inning.
And that came on a pitch out. Big lead for Coleman at first. There he goes. The Cubs do pitch out, and the throw will not get him. So for the 2nd straight time, Coleman steals second base on a pitch out. He had a great lead over there and a great jump.
Jody Davis throws the ball in the dirt once again, and I looked at Jody's right arm before the game, making no excuses for him, but he's got bruises up and down that right arm where he's been hit with foul tips. A big one right on the point and one on the bicep, and he's just not throwing the ball very well. You get 2 pitch outs, you guess right. 2 times he could have gunned him down and didn't get him either.
Now the 2-0 to Ozzie Smith, ball 3. 3-2 the score. St. Louis leading. Coleman a big lead off second. Dancing back and forth. Nipper has struggled in each inning tonight. This one low, so he walks Ozzie Smith.
And I think that's going to be it as Don Zimmer walks slowly to the mound. He's had Drew Hall up now for the 3rd time, and Al Nipper has had very little, if any, rhythm on the mound tonight.
And a tough evening right from the very first hitter when he walked Vince Coleman in the bottom of the 1st, and that's going to be it. So Nipper departs. Al works 3 2/3 innings. Drew Hall gets the call, and we'll be back after this.
The authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
No pitcher for the Cubs in the bottom of the 4th inning. Lefty Drew Hall. Al Nipper worked 3 2/3 so far, charged with 3 runs, and of course he is responsible for the 2 men on.
And Drew Hall is on for the 3rd time. The ERA at 18, but he hasn't had a whole lot of work, just 1 inning. 2 earned runs. He's walked a couple, struck out 1, hasn't given up any hits yet, and he's got to hold the Cardinals right here.
Well, he'll face Tom Herr. Herr turns around to hit right-handed. The Cardinals have 6 switch hitters in the lineup tonight. Herr nothing out of 2 on the evening. The Cardinals with 3 runs on 7 hits against Nipper. 1 strikeout and 4 bases on balls. Hall with check of the runners. The pitch is a strike call.
Good fastball by Drew Hall. And he's got to be very careful with Coleman at third. All he needs is just a little break, and if you don't keep looking back at him, he'll just take off. This is a perfect setup for the double steal for the Cardinals. You got a right-hander up and your two fastest men on base.
The left-hander Hall on the mound. Ball popping away from Jody. Move it inside, and the count is 1-1.
And for the first time tonight, Jody has got the regular size catcher's mitt back, so at least for the first few pitches it might take some getting used to again. The big glove he used to catch Al Nipper's knuckleball.
Runners at first and second. Ozzie Smith first. Vince Coleman at second. Hall trying to keep St. Louis in check. Now a turn, but no throw back there. You can see Coleman dancing back and forth and flinching out there.
It's a good thing that Drew stepped off. You don't want to deliver the ball with Sandberg standing on second base.
Again, Hall steps back as Sandberg had moved to second. So Hall very mindful of the base runners. The difference in the game right now, the Steve Lake home run. Now the pitch, ground ball. Dunston backhanded stop. He'll go to second for the force, and that retires the side. One run for St. Louis in the fourth inning. On 3 hits, a couple men left. Through 4, 3-2. We go to the fifth inning. The Cubs down by a run, 3-2. Sean Dunston leading off against Jose De Leon. Drew Hall will follow, and then the top of the batting order, Dave Martinez. First pitch is a strike. Let's pause here for station identification.
This is WGN Television, Channel 9 in Chicago.
Dunston 1 for 1 on the night. He waves and misses. Pitch moving down and away from it. De Leon, big right-hander. Good arm. Can throw hard. Knows the fork ball. A chopper to the right side for Tom Herr. And they toss to first to Horner in time. So Dunston's the first out. Larry Sherry helped De Leon develop that forkball.
I think it's been a good pitch for him, Dwayne, and you know he's toyed with turning the ball over, cutting the ball, and using that forkball, and it's taken something away from his velocity. Steve Lake says it's helped him become a more complete pitcher, but he doesn't have that big fastball anymore as Whitey Herzog looks on.
Drew Hall up there looking at the first pitch for a strike on the inside corner. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Now the Pirates were very impressed with De Leon. The White Sox went out and got him. The Cardinals pursued the deal and finally got him from the White Sox. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He came up in '83 and was 7-3 his first year, and toyed with no-hit fame almost from the very beginning. Off-speed breaking ball high. It's 2-2. Matter of fact, in his second start with Pittsburgh in '83, he had a no-hitter going against San Diego. There's a strikeout, the second out of the inning. Drew Hall caught looking. 6 strikeouts tonight for De Leon. He had a no-hitter going for 6 1/3 innings against San Diego, and Alan Wiggins broke it up. The next time out against the Mets, he went 1 out into the 9th with a no-hitter and lost it. And in his 6th start with the Pirates, he had a no-hitter through 6 2/3 against the Reds. Martinez, a good cut, a foul ball, back, strike one.
The only problem was, aside from all those near no-hitters, he was about 18 and 39 for his stint with the Pirates. And it was controlled, Dwayne, and also his inability to hold runners at first base. But he's really worked hard on that. He's got a whole new delivery now with a man at first.
There's a strike call. 0-2. Well, after going 7-3 in '83, that next year, '84, he flirted with a no-hitter 4 times, wound up 7-13 that year, and then in '85, 2-19. A foul, back, out of play. Davey Martinez with a 6-game hitting streak.
We talk about long years, but when you go 2-19, it seems like a lifetime.
I think he started that year by losing his first 7. He had a couple fairly long losing strings in that season.
Yeah, if it wasn't for those no decisions, he might have had a bad year.
What do they say? You have to be good to lose 20?
Well, you have to be better than whatever they have, because they still send you to the mound.
0-1, 1-2 to Martinez.
Remember 1973, Wilbur Wood had lost 20 for the White Sox. Stan Bonson had 2 starts left. Johnny Sain said, "You're going to go to the bullpen, son." He said, "Why?" He says, "Because I'm not having 2 20-game losers on the same staff."
There's a popper, back a third, foul ball, and Pendleton is there to glove it. And the Cubs are out 1-2-3 in the 5th inning. 6 in a row retired by De Leon. We go into the bottom of the 5th. 3-2 St. Louis. Well, Steve Stone and our producer director Artie Harris. This is Dwayne Stats from St. Louis tonight. Final stop on this opening road trip for the Cubs. Day game tomorrow, and home Friday for the opener at Wrigley Field against Pittsburgh. Bob Horner opens the bottom of the 5th inning facing Drew Hall. And the first pitch is a strike.
There's some controversy that surrounded Horner. Whitey Herzog wanted them to sign Jack Clark. Del Maxfield didn't, and instead he signed Bob Horner.
This one bounces in, and the count is 1-1. Well, Horner has a tall order to fill, replacing Clark in the middle of the lineup. But here's a guy who's averaged a home run every 16.6 times at bat in his major league career. He lines this one toward right center field. Martinez over to cut it off, and Horner will stop at first with a single. So Horner's on for the 3rd consecutive time tonight. He has 2 singles and a walk sandwiched in between. He doubled his last time up last night. He's been on base 4 straight times.
Well, I think he's going to hit here, but the big difference between Horner and Clark is Clark hit his home runs in San Francisco and here in St. Louis, and Horner hit his in Atlanta. And contrasting ballparks, Atlanta of course being the launching pad, the other 2 ballparks a little tougher. So it's going to be tough for Horner to hit a whole lot of home runs in this park.
Here's McGee. 1 out of 2. Fastball in for a strike. Hard throwing left-hander Drew Hall. Too low. Nice stop by Jody Davis. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hall, the 3rd player chosen in the June '84 draft. Foul ball the other way, out of play. Running the count to 1-2.
See, here's another inequity of the game, Dwayne. Pitchers are not allowed to wear chains, but hitters can wear them. Another advantage to the hitters.
It's tough being a pitcher, isn't it?
They're taking everything away, even the chains.
Wave and a miss, and he blew that ball by McGee. Boy, the long and the short of it with Hall is, can he throw strikes consistently?
We saw Willie McGee swing at high fastballs yesterday and strike himself out, and he did the same thing from the right side as he did from the left.
And that's been his problem when he does not hit well. The strike zone becomes about as large as any in captivity. Here's Terry Pendleton. Foul ball back over the screen. Strike one. Pendleton has been robbed tonight. He hit the ball a ton in the first inning all the way back to the track in right center field, and Andre Dawson caught it. He was robbed by the vastness of this ballpark, and in the third inning he was retired on a fine play by Ryan Sandberg. Ball runs it inside. 1-1.
That one almost took one of the Cardinals off the uniform. Good look at Drew Hall. No doubt about this man's arm. He can rush it up there with anybody on this ball club.
Horner back in.
Well, he's watching him carefully, but if Horner steals second base, there might be an investigation.
This one popped up. Foul and out of play. That ball running in on Pendleton, and when Hall is throwing well, he'll do that to right-handed hitters.
Last year, Bob Horner hit .327 with the Yakult Swallows. 31 home runs, 73 RBIs, 51 bases on balls, 65 strikeouts, and no stolen bases.
One and two the count. Yeah, but the infield dirt was soft. He couldn't run over there. Liner into left. Palmeiro on the move, and he makes the catch. Palmeiro with a good break on that line drive.
He got a very good jump, and he says he sees the ball very well in this park. In the World Series, he saw a couple of balls being misjudged by the outfielders, and he says he can't understand it because he's been able to see the ball well, and he showed it there. He got a great jump on that line drive, and that was a tough play because it never really got up high.
Here's Jose Oquendo, another one of the switch hitters, turning around to bat right against Hall. Andrews starts him with a strike. Oquendo has gone out to center and bounced out to second. Facing 27-year-old left-hander Drew Hall. That's low, popping away from Jody. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals came into this game hitting .198. The Cubs came in hitting .298. Cubs trailed 3-2. There's ball 2, 2-1.
I don't believe I've seen a ball club with 6 switch hitters in the lineup at the same time.
Ball's pitch. Now he's behind 3-1. Hall made a good pitch to get Pendleton on the heels of striking out Willie McGee. Here he is behind Oquendo now. And he walks him. So that pushes Horner up to second base. A walk to Oquendo, the 3rd walk issued by Cub pitching. And Steve Lake will be the hitter.
And I think that Drew Hall should be aware that Steve Lake is a first ball fastball hitter. He's been that way since he's come into the league, and so you got to be very careful on the first pitch.
Don Zimmer positioning the infield. And a pop fly, short center. Sandberg out to make the catch, and that retires the side. No runs, 1 hit, 2 left. We're through 5 from St. Louis. 3-2 St. Louis. Cubs are down by a run as we move into the 6th inning. 3-2 St. Louis. The 2 winless teams in the major leagues, Baltimore and Atlanta, trailing again tonight. The Orioles under Frank Robinson now as their manager, trailing in the bottom of the 7th inning. At Baltimore, Kansas City 6 and the Orioles 1. Top of the 7th in Atlanta, Houston leads the Braves 8-3 now. And Ryan Sandberg takes a strike. Rhino 0 for 2. Struck out swinging his first time. Called out on strikes in the 3rd inning.
It was Rhino. I just looked something off speed. He's been throwing him high fastballs.
Ground ball up the middle, deflected by De Leon. Herr makes the pickup and the throw in time. Tommy Herr, moving to his right, came up with the ball.
This is headed back up the middle. And De Leon deflects it just enough for Tommy Herr to come over and make the play. So Rhino hit the ball well. That has nothing to show for it.
Here's Andre Dawson 0 for 2.
If that's not the fastest firing in Major League history, it's got to be right up there. 6 games into the season, and
I think it's the fastest ever.
Cal Ripken Sr. was gone.
The pitch too high, ball 1. Well, the Orioles saw absolutely nothing go right to open the season. They'd scored only 7 runs going into the game tonight. Andre tried to check, but he chased it. Now the count is 1-1. They'd been outscored 43-7 going into the game tonight. This one high, so it's now 2 balls and a strike. So with that 6-1 deficit tonight, wow, 49-8 they've been outscored.
Sounds like the Super Bowl.
Foul ball the other way, out of play to even the count at 2-2.
If you're on that pitching staff, they tell you to hold them close, buddy. You're not going to get too many.
Team ERA is 7.38. Baltimore hitting 197, 1 point less than the Cardinals. A long drive deep to left field, and Coleman will watch that one sail out. Home run for Andre Dawson to tie the game. Andre Dawson, a gargantuan shot out into left center field. His 2nd home run, and this game is tied 3-3.
It was right here against Todd Worrell last year when Andre Dawson hit a grand slam home run, and that seemed to turn him on, and he never stopped the rest of the year. And this one is a monster to left field. Andre Dawson tied it up. He got a hanging, looked like either a fork ball or curve ball, and he just took it way back.
Another $100 to Cubs Care Cancer Fund in the name of True Value Hardware.
Take another look at it. It is a hanging curveball. This Chicago Tribune round tripper shows a home run went around 430 feet.
Meanwhile, the count to Leon Durham, 2 balls, no strikes. So the Cubs are even now. Ground ball foul up the right side. 2-1. Whitey Herzog has just seen Andre Dawson connect to tie the game. Pitch in too close, running it to 3-1. Blackhawks and the Blues are now tied 3-3, while the Cubs and the Cardinals tied 3-3. Foul ball out of play to run the count to 3-2 on Durham.
I'd like to see Leon extend himself, get his arms out here. De Leon does not have the kind of fastball that can get inside. Let's see if he goes to the forkball.
3-2 foul ball again, out of play. Another look at the home run by Andre Dawson.
When this comes spinning up there, Andre says, it looks real good to me. Let me just whack it out of here. And he does just that.
There's a long drive to deep right field. Oquendo back, and that ball is gone. Home run for Leon Durham, and the Cubs are out in front 4-3. Back-to-back home runs by Dawson and Durham. The double D's. And the Cubs are up 4-3.
Leon got that arm extension, and he drove the ball out over the wall over the head of Jose Oquendo. And the Cubs go on top. A lot of firepower, and they show it to you right here. A happy dugout and a happy bull, and they're dancing in the streets in Cincinnati.
And here's Rafael Palmeiro taking a pitch in at the knees for a strike.
It's a fastball out away from the bull, and this Chicago round tripper for the Tribune shows the home run went around 375 feet.
Palmeiro tries to hold up, but he went around, and the count is 0-2. Another $100 to Cubs Care in the name of True Value on solo home runs by Dawson and Durham.
That starts the bullpen working for St. Louis.
Ground ball right side, picked up by Horner. De Leon over to cover. 2 gone. Scott Arnold, the right-hander, throwing in the bullpen. 2 outs in the 6th. The Cubs have hit 3 home runs tonight, 11 for the year. Vance Law, a 2-run home run in the 2nd, and solo shots by Dawson and Durham in the 6th. De Leon's pitch to Jody. He pops it up on the left side. Pendleton settling under the ball. He's got it, and that retires the side. But the Cubs score 2 on 2 hits, 2 home runs, and we go into the bottom of the 6th. 4-3 Cubs. Well, the Cubs have grabbed the lead. It's now 4-3, moving into the bottom of the 6th inning. Don Zimmer has seen the Cubs hit 3 home runs tonight. There's Les Lancaster throwing in the bullpen as we start the bottom of the 6th, and St. Louis will open it with a pinch hitter. Tom Lawless will bat for Jose De Leon.
Lawless has been in a couple games as a defensive replacement. This is his first at bat.
6 innings for De Leon. 4 runs on 5 hits. Here's Durham's home run to put the Cubs out in front.
There's a fastball out away from him. He had a good swing the time before, and this time he got the head of the bat out. Lawless, not exactly a real good hitter, hit .080 last year.
And he takes the first pitch wide, ball 1. There's the one thing Drew Hall wants to avoid is walking anybody right now. And he comes in with a strike. 1-1.
I think this is a confidence builder on the part of Whitey Herzog with Scott Arnold, who had a tough outing last night, giving up the triple to Dave Martinez, and he's bringing him right back.
Foul ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You know, Whitey feels he's got 2 big series coming up with the Mets, and he's really handicapped without Ken Daly. They trade Ricky Horton, a left-hander. Daly, another left-hander, went on the DL opening day, and they have nobody in the bullpen from the left side to combat the Mets' Strawberry and Hernandez.
A wave and a miss, so Lawless is out on strikes. Lawless, of course, the fella who belted that 3-run homer off Frank Viola in Game 4 of the World Series. It turned out to be the game winner, but he's out on strikes here.
Drew Hall just throws a fastball by him, so Drew's been pretty impressive in relief of Al Nipper, and he stands in line to win this one if the Cubs can hold on.
Here's Vince Coleman. Coleman has been on all 3 times tonight, 2 walks and a single. Coleman had a good spring for the Cardinals, but a struggle right along with everybody else in this Cardinal lineup to open the season. Ball 1 high.
Johnny Lewis got both Vince Coleman and Terry Pendleton to stand up a little straighter, and it's made both of them a lot better hitters.
There's a strike. The count is 1-1. There's Johnny Lewis, the St. Louis hitting instructor. He has a low-key approach. He doesn't call a lot of attention to himself, just goes about his job, works individually with each hitter. Foul ball out of play.
They've got some pretty good instructors down here. Both Johnny Lewis, who's a good hitting instructor, and of course the pitching coach Mike Rourke, who's done a great job with his staff over the course of the years. He's been here 5 years. Said he wouldn't mind managing one day, but he's not going to go out and pursue the job.
This one too low. So the count goes to 2-2. You think managers get any smarter as they get their second and third and maybe fourth opportunities?
I'll tell you when they get real smart, Dwayne, when you got guys like Dwight Gooden on the mound and you got hitters like Mark McGwire, guys like Jose Canseco, you get real smart as a manager when you got a lot of horses.
Foul ball back and out of play. Well, Don Zimmer says he's not any smarter now the fourth time around than he was the first time around. And he says he doesn't figure that there'll be a fifth time around. He says, number one, he wasn't sure there was going to be a fourth time around. But here he is doing a good job. Cubs off to a great start.
He said when Jimmy got the job, he figured if he wanted him, he'd give him a call.
Ball 3.
What I like about Don Zimmer is he's a man of few rules. He says, I want the guys out for the national anthem. I don't want them in the clubhouse during the game, and I don't want them late for workouts. Other than that, they're pretty much on their own to go about and play the game.
Ground ball up the middle and a base hit into center. So Coleman is on for the fourth straight time, and the Cubs really hate to see this guy on.
Now let the games begin, because it's going to be Drew Hall against Vince Coleman. Coleman has stolen 2 bases tonight on pitch outs.
Coleman was 10 out of 12 running against the Cubs last year. He's set up at first with 1 out, and Ozzie Smith is the hitter. A move to first. Coleman leaning over there and dives back in head first.
Had that been a little quicker move, he'd have picked him off, because Coleman's first move was to second base. John Kibler with a smile on his face, as does Vince Coleman. He knows that he was dead to rights, but Drew took a little too much time getting the ball over there.
Coleman saying, you sure that wasn't a balk?
Well, that's a bad feeling when you're hung out to dry, and he was.
And a toss over there.
I get a feeling he's going on the first pitch.
Cubs have called for the pitch out twice before. All trying to keep Coleman very close. In the 4th inning, despite the fact that they call for the pitch out, Coleman got a good sized lead and a good break from first and stole the base. The pitch is low, ball 1.
What Drew has to guard against is not hesitating. Now he's varying his cadence to first base, but he's got to be very careful to take that 1 second pause.
And a line drive into right field, going to fall in there for a base hit. Coleman stops at second. Back-to-back singles by Coleman and Smith. 2 men on with 1 out, and the number 3 hitter Tom Herr is due. Don Zimmer on his way to the mound.
Tom Herr.
So Zimmer going to the hill. He had Lancaster up to start the inning. And the Cubs are going to make the pitching change. Zimmer wants Lancaster here. 1 out into the 6th inning. 1 out and 2 base hits into the 6th. That's all for Hall. Lancaster on his way. And we'll be back after this. For the Cubs is Les Lancaster. With men at first and second and 1 out, he'll be facing Tom Herr.
And he's on for the 4th time. He's been unscathed so far. Does not have an earned run average. 4 2/3 innings, only 2 hits, no runs. He's walked 1, he's struck out 2, and he's picked up a save. So Les Lancaster gives Don Zimmer a lot of flexibility. He can use him long or short. He can use him in the middle if he wants. And there's a lot of people that think that before it's over, Les Lancaster could be a pretty dependable starter at the major league level.
That save Lancaster picked up in Montreal on Sunday was his first big league save. He made 18 starts last year, won 8 and lost 3, and picked up the save for the Cubs in Montreal.
And now the Cubs have got to be careful. because they've got a situation once again that dictates a chance at a double steal. You got the two real good base runners, and Lancaster is going to have to watch Vince Coleman very closely at second base. And also, Les was called for a balk for not hesitating this year, so he's got to be careful to get that full second pause.
Great speed on the bases. Lancaster, working against the Cardinals last year, was 1-0 with a .245 earned run average over the span of 3 appearances and 11 total innings worked against the Cardinals. Her nothing out of 3 tonight. 32-year-old second baseman. And Lancaster misses with the first one. Dave Pallone is calling the balls and strikes in this, the second game of the series. Outfield, straight away. Murr takes one too close.
Boy, look how close Dunston is behind Vince Coleman. Now he's got the glove off. That could mean that he's going to go to the bag right in back of Coleman. And that's one of the signs they'll use, along with the daylight pickoff, which is just show the glove between the runner and the bag. I look for Dunston to break in back up, and let's see if they can pick him off.
2-0 the count on the hitter, Tom Herr. The pitch gets away from Jody, and the runners advance to second and third.
Boy, he's had all kinds of problems behind the plate. I don't know if he was crossed up, but he didn't even get a glove on that ball. It hit right off the end of it. And we'll take another look at it. This will probably be charged to pass ball.
Yep.
Jody just doesn't catch it.
Pass ball charged to Jody Davis. Ball 3, the count on Tom Herr. Now they'll walk him with first base open and Horner up there, hoping to get the double play ball out of Horner. So this loads the bases. The intentional walk on the heels of the pass ball. They're loaded with 1 out. Horner grounded into a double play in the 6th inning last night. Matter of fact, that ended the 6th. The Cubs are hoping he will end the 6th in the same fashion tonight.
What Lancaster would like to do is throw that slider out away from Horner. That's the pitch that he tries to pull. When Bob Horner is at his best, he will take the slider outside and drive it over the second baseman's head. If they can catch him trying to pull the ball, it could be a 6-4 throw.
Now the stretch. Here's the pitch. High and outside. Ball 1. Frank DiPino heating in the bullpen. The Blues have just taken a 4-3 lead on the Blackhawks. Here the Cubs lead 4-3, but the Cardinals have a bases loaded threat. 1 out, Horner at the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Big rip by Horner. Bob Horner, 30 years old, out of Arizona State, went right to the big leagues with Atlanta. Spent last year in Japan and had 31 home runs there. He swings, and it's a popper near the line, shallow right. Tough play, and they can't catch up to it. It's a fair ball. Coleman scores, and the bases are still loaded. That play took forever to unfold, and the ball fell just fair out of the reach of Durham and Sandberg. Dawson coming in from right could not get there, and the game is tied 4-4.
Rhino's got the only shot, and they're playing him up the middle. A tough play for Leon Durham. The ball just bounces. Unfortunately, the Cardinals can only score 1 run.
Well, the game tied. That's 11 hits for St. Louis. Here's Willie McGee. McGee is 1 out of 3. Lancaster misses high. Ball 1. Warner at first, Her at second, Smith at third. Ground ball, second base. Sandberg to Dunston, 1. First base, not in time. The run scores. Smith crosses the plate. Her to third. A bounding ball, and the Cubs, as a result of the bounding ball, could not turn the double play.
It's not hit enough. It goes as an RBI. And a good effort by Bob Horner trying to break up the double play with Dunston coming across the bag. First RBI of the year for McGee.
And the Cardinals take a 5-4 lead. So Horner's pop fly just fair out of the reach of Durham and Sandberg, and now a bounding ball by McGee, not hit hard enough to turn the double play on, and the Cardinals have 2 runs. St. Louis runners on the corners for Terry Pendleton. Toss to first, and they pick him off. McGee picked off first by Lancaster to retire the side. St. Louis with 2 runs in the 6th. We're through 6. Harry's coming back, and the Cardinals lead the Cubs 5-4.
Harry Carey with Steve Stone has been gone to the top of the 7th. The Cardinals now have regained the lead 5-4. What a tough break on a high pop fly. The one man who had no chance to catch the ball was Andre Dawson, because Horner's a long ball hitter and he had to play him over in right center. There's no way he could have gotten to the ball. It looked like the only man who had a chance to catch it was Sandberg. But the ball dropped for a bloop single. And runners tagged up, so only 1 run scored on that. The other run scoring on a forced play, but the Cubs still have 3 big innings left. Here's Law to lead it off. Who's the new pitcher?
Scott Arnold, the new pitcher. Inning in the 2/3 last night. 2 runs on 4 hits.
Now the pitch is in there, a strike call.
6-point ERA for Arnold, and this is his 3rd appearance. There you see Steve Peters, the curve-balling left-hander. Arnold's got the good sinking fastball.
Now the pitch to Law. Curveball. Outside. Count is evened up, a ball and a strike. We have the lower end of the batting order up Law, Dunston, and Lancaster. Swung and he fouled it off.
Pitching coach Mike Rourke was talking about Arnold before the game. He said how difficult it was to make the jump from Double-A to the big leagues. He never would have been forced to if Ken Daly didn't go on the disabled list. And there you take a look at Mike Rourke and Whitey Herzog.
Vance Lowe hit a 2-run homer earlier, the pitch. Outside. That evens it up 2-2. Arnold a sinker baller. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 5-4 Cardinals. Now the pitch, here it is. Struck him out a fastball. He was called out on strikes. He thought the pitch was outside. 1 out. Let's watch it again. What do you think?
Take a look at where Steve Lake sets up. Looks a little off the corner to me.
Yeah, I should say so. 1 out, nobody on, 7th inning. Dave Pallone called the 3rd strike. He thought it hit the corner. Dunston is 1 out of 2, the pitch. Oh, he didn't need to swing. A little tap back to the mound. There's a throw, and he barely gets it. 2 gone. And we're going to have Jerry Mumphrey coming out as a pinch hitter. Mumphrey will bat for Lancaster.
And it looks like Frank DePino is going to come into the ball game.
Oh, that's a shame. Zimmer was just hoping that Drew Hall could get by that 6th inning. And after he fanned the first man, the pinch hitter Lawless, he gave up 2 hits taken out of the game. Both the men that he gave hits to scored. So Drew Hall allowed the 2 runs, and he is the losing pitcher as of this moment. However, a lot of time left in this ball game. 5-4 Cardinals. Pitch to Mumphrey. There's a hit in the left field. Mumphrey inside out, that swing in the left. And the finest pinch hitter in the National League is on again.
Center fielder Dave Martinez.
Here's Martinez.
Scott Arnold came in yesterday to face Dave Martinez, and he rifled a triple into right field. And I don't think Whitey Herzog wants to see a repeat performance. And he's got Steve Peters warmed and ready in the pen. Peters with the big curveball, difficult for a left-hander to hit against. And I think that's probably who Dave Martinez is going to have to look at.
Rolando Rooms is going to run for Jerry Mumphrey. Rooms.
Running for Jerry Mumphrey, number 27.
Orlando Rooms.
And that leaves Angel Salazar, the only Cub not to appear in a ball game so far.
All right, the new pitcher's coming in. It is Peters, a little left-hander. And boy, that bullpen by committee, Whitey Herzog, that's one thing about him. He never lets his pitchers stay in too long.
Steve Peters with a 2.70 ERA has been a busy man. He's appearing in his 5th game. 3 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. He's walked 2, he's struck out 2. His best pitch is the overhand curveball, and he's got a dandy.
Peters, an Oklahoma lad from Oklahoma City. He came up the Cardinals for the first time last year, working on his first full year in the big leagues.
Last year he had a 180 earned run average in 12 games with the Cardinals. He struck out 11 in 15 innings. And he picked up 1 save. Had his best year at Springfield in 1986, where he was 10-1. Fine ERA at 2.53.
All right, he's finishing up his warm-up tosses. And Davey Martinez. Whitey Herzog is not going to let it happen what happened last night. To give Martinez a chance at Arnold. There's Todd Worrell getting ready in the bullpen. He's our ace reliever. And he's getting, apparently Peters has one responsibility, to get Martinez. He'll have Worrell ready to pitch to Sandberg and Dawson. Runner at first, 2 men out.
There's been a lot of left-handers here who have made a lot of money in this game just getting out one left-hand hitter.
That's right. Now ready? The pitch to Martinez. High, ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 out.
He wants to get Peters into a situation where he misses with his curveball and then has to come to him with the fastball.
The pitch, swung and he missed. He had a good cut, and the count is evened up. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 away. Cardinals lead 5-4. Rolando Rooms, a runner at first. Strike call. And he's ahead of him now, 1-2. Looked like he just threw his fastball by him that time.
I think he was looking, breaking pitch, and he got the fastball. Peters has a pretty good move, so Rooms has got to be careful at first.
Now the pitch, here it is. There he goes, swung and fouled back. Rooms broke for second. A good idea, because if he's thrown out, then you got Martinez starting fresh. leading off in the 8th inning. Even if they get him. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch. Struck him out with a curveball. Martinez called out on strikes, and he didn't like it. He's arguing with the plate umpire. And there was no run, 1 hit, no errors, 1 man left on base. We go in the bottom of the 7th. Cardinals leading 5 to back at the ballpark. We go in the bottom of the 7th. Frank DiPino is the new pitcher. You know, there are 2 teams in baseball that haven't won a game. Atlanta now is 0-7, and Baltimore now is 0-7. Frank Robinson managed Baltimore tonight.
And Frank DiPino comes on for the 3rd time, 386 earned run average. 2 1/3 innings, 2 hits, and 1 earned run on a homer. He's got to hold the Cardinals right there, give the Cubs a chance to come back.
Well, we talked about that pop fly base hit, which is such a big play, but really to play to change that inning completely was a pass ball that allowed the runners to go to 2nd and 3rd. Here's a strike call by DiPino to Terry Pendleton, who's 0 for 3.
And Harry, catchers go into slumps just like hitters. I mean, you get into a streak where you're just not catching the ball very well, and Jody's in one of those streaks now.
There's a bouncing ball to Law. He's got it. Throws the first for the out. 1 gone. And that will bring up Jose Oquendo, who walked in the 5th. He's nothing out of 2.
Little guys in the infield were talking before the game, and a few of the pitchers talked to me last night about how surprised they were at the strength of the arm of Vance Law. They said that he can really rush it across there from 3rd base, and he showed a real good arm on that play.
Oquendo batting right-handed against DiPino. The pitch on the way. Fastball outside. One man out, nobody on. The pitch. Wide. Ball 2. Nipper walked 4. Drew Hall while he was in there. Walk 1. Lancaster intentionally walked 1. There's a drive in the center field going to be caught. Davey Martinez. Oquendo flies to Martinez. That brings up Steve Lake. Lake has never hit more than 2 home runs, but he got his first of this year in the 4th inning. 2 out, nobody on. Con Worrell coming in. He's going to take over in the 8th inning. And waiting to face them will be Sandberg, Dawson, and Durham. And if anybody gets on, Palmeiro.
Worrell's got 1 save already. Had 33 last year. He's the big man in the pen for Whitey Herzog.
1 ball, no strikes. There's a base hit. Lake singles to left. Oh, boy. 3 out of 4 for Steve Lake. And boy, he is biting the hand that once fed him. And I never have been able to understand how they let him get away.
Well, he was always a favorite of mine, but the thought in this camp was that he wasn't a good enough hitter to be a backup catcher. They knew that he could catch. But tonight, Harry, the 3 hits haven't been flukes. He's hit them all right on the nose.
And what we do, though, we traded a $150,000 salary for about a $600,000 salary, and the guy we got isn't a long ball hitter either.
Not really good economics when you break it down.
Here's a pitch high, ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes. Jim Lindemann's a pinch hitter, hitting .083. He's had 1 hit as a pinch hitter. The pitch foul out of play. And the count is evened up. 2 men are out. Ball game in the bottom of the 7th. And the Cardinals are leading by a meager run. They've out-hit the Cubs 12-6. The Cubs have outpowered them 3 homers to 1. Two balls and a strike.
Lindemann's got some pop in the bat, and Whitey Herzog wanted to get him a lot of play in right field. He had some back problems in the offseason, had surgery, and if he can stay healthy, Whitey Herzog would love to see his bat in the lineup, especially against left-hand pitchers.
Now ready, 2 balls and a strike. The pitch. Swings and he fouls it back. And now the count is even up. Frank Robinson made his debut as manager of the Baltimore Orioles tonight, but he could not lead the Orioles to their first victory of the season. Instead, they suffered their 7th consecutive loss. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The pitch to Lindemann, the long ball hitter. Throw to first. Worrell will come in to finish the game for the Cardinals. And the Cubs hoping to get on to him for a few runs. There's a high fly ball deep right field. Running for the ball is Dawson. It's a foul ball out of play.
He had a tremendous run for that one. He was playing him around in right center field. That ball slicing down the line, and Andre Dawson gave it a good effort.
Well, that's the same situation with Harner up there on that high pop fly. He's had to play him deep, power hitter, right-handed, and there's no way he could possibly reach the ball. One of the infielders had to be able to catch it, either Sandberg or Durham, and the angle was better for Sandberg.
That was a good break for the Cardinals, and the break the Cubs got was that 2 runs didn't score on that ball because Ozzie Smith had to hold up.
2-2 pitch. A high pop fly out of play. Lindemann seems to be swinging the bat well. Let's pause for station identification.
This is WGN Television, Channel 9 in Chicago.
Lindemann batting with a count 3-2. The runner Lake will be going with the pitch. Here he goes. He swings and he fouls it out of play. 5-4. The Cardinals lead.
And this game illustrates the type of offense the Cardinals have. If you allow Vince Coleman to get on base, the Cardinals are going to make trouble for you. He's been on base 4 times tonight. He's scored twice and has really set up their offense.
Now ready, 3-2. The pitch. Line drive, belt to the left field, a base hit. And Lake has to hold up at second. Lindemann singles sharply to left. Now here is Coleman, batting right-handed. A pinch runner coming out.
Looks like Tony Pena.
Pena's going to run for Steve Lake.
Tony Pena.
Lake had 3 out of 4 tonight, including a home run. Getting a nice hand. And here's Vince Coleman on base 4 times in a row. 2 walks, 2 hits. Scored twice. Stole 2 bases. In the 3rd period, the St. Louis Hockey Club leads the Blackhawks 5-3. A loss for the Blackhawks would end their season. Now ready? The pitch. Fastball outside. The Pino, who hasn't worked much, showing he might be a little rusty. The pitch on the way. Here it is. Strike call. A fastball. Well, I see Peoria won last night. 1 ball, 1 strike. Vince Coleman waiting. Base hit into center field. Another run's going to score. The throw plate, not in time. Pena scored on Coleman's single to center. And now it's 6-4. Coleman on base 5 times in a row.
RBI number 2 for Vince Coleman. Drives it right back up the middle. Dave Martinez charging the ball aggressively, but Tony Pena's wheels just a little too good. The ball hits the mound, and if you're a center fielder, you have to throw it over that mound. If it hits it, it just pops straight up.
Here now is Ozzie Smith. Boy, it looks like DePino throwing nothing but fastball. The throw to first, the runner back. Activity in bullpen now. There is Mike Bilecki getting ready. Now the stretch. The pitch to Ozzie. There goes a runner. The peg goes through. He stops. And watch a man from third base trying to score. He's out. And they got Goldman. They got Vincent Coleman on a pitch out. And Jody Davis threw to Dunston, who ran them down and tagged them out. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors, and 1 left. At the end of 7, the Cardinals 6. Harry Carey and Steve Stone as we go now into the 8th inning. Ryne Sandberg will lead it off. The Cardinals have a 2-run lead, and they have their ace, Todd Worrell, relieving.
He comes in at 0-1 with a 4.15 ERA. Looking for his 2nd save, 4 1/3 innings, 4 hits. Last year, 33 saves with a fine 2.66 ERA. Worrell, a big man at 6'5", 210, out of Arcadia, California.
Here's Sandberg 0 for 3. Worrell's pitch, here it is. Swung, fouled, out of play. Chuck Cartier reached for that ball to went by him. He's coaching at third base. Sandberg 0 for 3 tonight.
Rhino might like Worrell a little bit more than he liked De Leon, who tricked him with a lot of fork balls and curve balls tonight.
Popped it up. Over near the stands and out of play. Tony Pena is not catching. Sandberg in the hole 0-2.
You know, Worrell said last year when he got off to a slow start that it's very difficult for a fastball pitcher early in the season unless he gets a lot of work. Last year he didn't throw the ball very well till about a third of the way through, and then he got very hot and made 75 appearances for the Cardinals.
0-2 the count. The pitch. Struck him out for the 3rd time tonight.
There's a high slider out of the strike zone.
Right fielder Andre Dawson.
Here's Dawson, whose homer tied the ball game in the 6th, and a moment later Durham put the Cubs out in front as he hit one over the right field wall. But then the Cardinals came back to get 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. Here's Dawson. The pitch. Swung and a miss. Boy, you can see Dawson hit a grand slam home run off of Worrell right here in this ballpark last season. And from that home run on, he went on to have a great year. A high pop fly. Oquendo is there. 2 gone. And here's Durham.
Whitey doesn't like to extend Worrell too often, but he hasn't been in a position to use him in a save situation much this year, so he's got to try to nail this one down.
Now the pitch. It's a little bit outside. Worrell is appearing in his 4th game. Strike called. He's 1 none, lost 1. Earned run average 4.15. But he looks like himself out there tonight. Swung and he fouled it back. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Leon's telling himself to make Worrell get the ball down. He throws too hard and you can't catch up with it if it's up around the letters. Leon's saying, look down, look down.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch. Fouled it out of play. Leon Durham trying to get hold of another one. He's had a walk and scored a double and a home run that gave the Cubs a temporary lead. The pass ball really hurt the Cub cause in that 6th inning. The pitch. Ball 3. Palmeiro next. He's 0 for 3. Danny Cox against Jamie Moyer tomorrow. High pop foul out of play. The customers scramble, look to catch that foul ball. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. We're in the 8th. Struck him out with a slider over the inside corner. And so he struck out 2 of the 3 men he faced. And we go down to the bottom of the 8th. Cardinals leading 6-4. Ozzie Smith will lead it off to the 8th. Remember now, the Cubs return home after the game tomorrow. It's an early ball game here, businessman special, getting underway at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Then the Cubs will be home for a 6-game homestand, starting with the opening day game Friday. And I understand there are seats available for the opener. And plenty of good seats available for the rest of the homestand. Now the pitch, here it is. Ozzie takes it a little bit inside. 2 balls, no strike. Cleveland got beat by Minnesota, who came up off the floor to win 7-6. There's the strike call. So the Yankees once again have regained possession of first place. Now the pitch, here it is. A high pop fly. Dawson is there. He makes the catch. 1 away.
Second baseman, Tom Hurd.
Tommy Hurd with nothing out of 3. The Pirates open the Cubs homestand Friday afternoon. Play 3 games. And then the Expos follow for a 3-game series beginning next Tuesday. Monday will be a day off. 1 out, nobody on. The pitch is low. The Cubs are going to Des Moines Monday to play their farm club in the obligatory exhibition game that each major league team had. 2 balls, no strikes.
You gonna come with me to scout that one?
I'll go with you. I'm going to be in Chicago. 1 out. 2 balls, no strikes. The pitch on the way. There's a good strike call. Tommy Hurd.
It's been Bob Horner, Vince Coleman, and Steve Lake who have really been thorns in the sides of the Cubs today.
Vince Coleman, 5 straight times on base, 3 hits. He also drove in a big insurance run. The Angels leading the White Sox 7-0 at the end of 4. Seattle leads Oakland 4-2 at the end of 4. Kansas City beat Baltimore, handed them their 7th straight loss, 6-1. Boston beat Milwaukee 3-1. New York over Toronto 12-3. Minnesota came from behind to beat Cleveland 7-6. And Detroit knocked off Texas. The Reds are leading the Giants at the end of 2-0. The Dodgers out in front of San Diego 3-0 at the end of 2. Now the pitcher it is. He didn't mean to hit it, fouls it off. Houston beat Atlanta 8-3, their 7th straight loss. And Montreal was shut out by the Mets 3-0. Darling did the shutting out.
And he brings up a good point. A good shot in the arm for the Cincinnati Reds. Mario Soto coming back from almost 2 years of inactivity through a brilliant shutout yesterday.
Now the pitch. Line drive in a left field, a base hit. Tommy Herr singles to left. That's a 4th hit off DePino. Working his 2nd inning.
Drew Hall is the pitcher of record in this one, as is Jose De Leon.
There's a drive in a left field, another hit for Harner. Bob Harner gets his 4th straight hit. 4 out of 4. He also had a walk thrown in there. Boy, oh boy, they've come out of their batting slump tonight. They've had 16 hits already. There's Willie McGee. McGee is 1 out of 4. Coleman is 3 out of 3. Been on base 5 times in a row. Stole 2 bases. Caught stealing once. Scored 2 runs and batted 1 in. Ozzie Smith, 2 out of 4. Drove in a run. Tommy Herr, 1 out of 4. Bob Harner, 4 out of 4. There's a ground ball in the left field, a base hit. There's a no play at the plate. McGee singles to left, scoring Herr.
Frank DePino running into a buzzsaw here. The Cardinals breaking out in a big way. 17 hits.
Third baseman, Kerry Pendleton.
That will bring up Pendleton. Boy, I'll tell you, there were 2 out in the 7th, and they got 3 straight hits, good for a run off DePino. 1 out in the 8th, they get 3 hits in a row to get another run. Here's Pendleton. He's nothing out of 4. Off of the pitcher's leg, the bases will be loaded. An infield hit for Pendleton. To him.
The Cardinals have had 2 extra base hits.
Boy, he was just so surprised the ball wasn't hit that hard.
Jose Oquendo.
Now here's Jose Oquendo.
You know, Harry, you just got to figure this Cardinal team was due to break out of it. They're too good a team to hit like they've been hitting. 16 singles tonight.
18 hits. They have 1 home run, got by Steve Lake. They have a double by Ozzie Smith. And the other 16 have been singles. And here's Oquendo, hitless so far. Fastball wide. Mike Bilecki is warming up in the bullpen. Frank DiPino probably getting work that they feel he needs. Bouncing ball, foul. DiPino had been in only 2 games. He had pitched only 2 in the 3rd inning. Allowed 2 hits and 1 run. Pitching 2 innings today. He's already allowed 7 hits and 2 runs. That's a strike. He started the swing trying to stop Jose Oquendo. 7-4 Cardinals. Now the pitch, here it is. A high pop fly should be caught. Jody Davis is there, and he has it. Oquendo fouled to Jody. 2 out. And that will bring up Tony Pena. Here comes manager Don Zimmer out of the dugout. Mike Bilecki's going to be brought in here. DiPino worked 1 2/3 innings. He allowed 7 hits. 2 runs so far. The bases are loaded. Mike Bilecki is brought in to face Tony Pena. Well, Jamie Moyer against Danny Cox tomorrow. Remember the early starting time.
Last time out, Mike Bilecki had some problems. An inning and a third. 3 runs, 4 hits. And for the year, Bilecki 1-0. High ERA, 8.10, appearing in his 3rd game. 3 1/3 innings, 4 hits, and 3 earned runs. And he comes on with the bases full of Cardinals. Cubs still trail only by 3, so he's got to get out Pena and keep this alive.
Boy, the 8th place hitter, represented by Steve Lake, had a home run and 3 out of 4. Bob Horner drove in 2 runs and had 4 out of 4. And Vince Coleman on base 5 straight times. Stole 2 bases. Drove in a run. Scored 2. Had 3 out of 3.
Once again, they make him remove the chain from his neck.
Jamie Moyer pitched a pretty good ball game against Montreal. And he'll be trying for what it looks now will be the 3rd final and rubber game of the series.
And if Jamie can nail it down, this will be some road trip. It's going to be a great road trip anyway to start the season.
The Cubs so far have won 2 games in every city. 2 in Atlanta, 2 in Montreal, and they'll be trying to win 2 here in St. Louis. Either by coming from behind on this one or by winning tomorrow. Bases loaded. Bilecki facing Pena. They used to be battery mates at Pittsburgh. So Mike should know how to pitch to him. Curve a little bit outside, ball 1. Drew Hall is the pitcher of record. That evens a count, a ball and a strike.
Boy, this is a big out right here.
1-1 pitch. Whoa, did he commit a balk? No, time had been called. One ball, 1 strike. The pitch. There's a drive. Davey Martinez on the run. Makes a great catch. Pena line to Davey Martinez. So only one run out of all that. There were 4 hits, no errors, 3 men left on base. At the end of 8, 7-4, St. Louis. Harry Carey back at Busch Memorial Stadium. We go into the top of the 9th. Cubs need 3 to tie, 4 to take the lead. They trail 7-4. The Cardinals have pounded out 18 hits to the Cubs 6. The Cubs have had 3 home runs, but trail by 3 runs. Palmeiro will lead it off. He's 0 for 3. A high pop foul back. Everybody chasing it. Pendleton in the stand. Could make the catch.
You know, he's had some difficulties this year defensively. This was a play he should have made. He overran the ball. He should be charged with an error on this one. I don't know what they're going to do, but you see him, he just gets too deep, and the ball always comes back toward the field of play, and he just missed it.
So Palmeiro gets a life. They haven't indicated any error. Palmeiro. 0-1 the count. Worrell struck out 2 out of the 3 men he faced in the 8th. Fastball is high. That evens it up. 27,115 paid tonight. Ball inside. The St. Louis Blues have eliminated the Chicago Blackhawks from the playoffs. They beat them tonight 5-3. Ball outside, ball 3. Well, a base on balls, a base hit or 2, and a long one. You can make 3 in a hurry.
That fine play by Dave Martinez might loom very large.
Ball 4. He walked him. Here's Jody Davis.
There's a look at Nick Leyva, the third base coach, and Whitey Herzog.
Jody so far is nothing out of 3. Oh, a base hit here, and things could get very exciting. High foul ball back. Almost into the press box.
That'll shake up the Cardinal radio booth.
Jack Buck and Mike Shannon over there. 0-1 the count. That evens the count. A ball and a strike. Jody Davis. Vance Law is due next. Harner holding the runner on at first. Ball 2 outside. 2 balls in the strike. Even a base on balls would bring up the tying run. Strike 2 call. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jody started a swing, but the ball was thrown by him. California Angels leading the White Sox 12-0 in the 5th. 2-2 pitch. Ball 3. Low. They appealed to the first base umpire. John Kibler says no, he did not go around. 3-2 now. Goose Gossage in the bullpen just in case. 3-2 pitch. Ball 4. And the tying run now will be at the plate. Vance Law coming up.
And despite the fact the Cubs have been out hit 18-6, they're still in the ball game.
Third baseman.
Vance Law, who started the scoring with a 2-run homer in the second to tie up the Cardinals then, is up there now, representing the tying run at the plate. Worrell has walked the first two he's faced.
Nobody up in the bullpen for St. Louis, but the Goose up and throwing for the Cubs.
Now Worrell takes a look around. The pitch. Ball low. 1 ball, no strikes. Sean Dunston on deck. And here comes Mike Rourke, the pitching coach. Wants to talk to Todd Worrell.
Well, everything's out of sync. And I think Vance Law's got to watch him very carefully. I wouldn't mind him taking a pitch, trying to let Worrell dig himself into a bigger hole than he's already in.
There you see Whitey Herzog.
He's shaking his head. Victory's a little hard to come by for Whitey so far this year.
Red Shandy's talking with him. There you see Don Zimmer with Joe Altobelli. There's Yosh Kawana.
You know, the Cubs have 3 major league managers on the coaching staff, and that's got to give Don Zimmer a big lift.
1 ball, no strikes. Strike called over the outside corner. He barely got it. That evens it up with a ball and a strike. Law, who hits the ball to the opposite field a lot too, you know. Double play ball to shortstop. Ah! Everybody is safe. Ozzie Smith moved a short double play ball. An error on Ozzie Smith.
This will be the first error of the year on Ozzie Smith. When it rains, it pours. The Cardinals struggling. The usually glue-fingered shortstop just boots one right here. It looks like a tailor-made 2. And watch Ozzie. Backhands it and sees it drop right out of the glove.
The bases loaded, nobody out. Here's Sean Dunston. He's hit 2 homers this year. We're going to have a runner, I believe. There's Darren Jackson coming out, and he's going to run for Vance Law.
That represents a tying run. So the Cardinals had Terry Pendleton drop one in foul territory, and now Ozzie Smith miss an easy ground ball.
Number 30,
they're in trouble.
Sean Dunston at the plate. Darren Jackson can run. He'd have a chance to score on an extra base hit.
Is that what you say? Oh, for the long one?
Oh, for the long one is right. Ball low and outside. You don't know how much pressure that air put on Todd Worrell. He might be trying out overthrow.
And I hope Sean shows a little patience here. He doesn't like to walk, but Worrell is having some trouble with the strike zone.
Bases loaded, nobody out. Time is called. Dave Pallone, the plate umpire. 1 ball, no strikes. We're in the 9th. He had a home run cut but didn't connect. 1 ball, 1 strike. Just make contact, Sean. Oh, I like to see one down the right field line or into the right center field gap. There's a double play. No. It's broken up by Darren Jackson. From Ozzie Smith to Tommy Herr, that makes it a 7-5 ball game. We have runners on at the corner. Manny Trio coming out.
Looks like Tommy Herr has some problems with the flip. Darren Jackson coming down the line. Watch the flip. He just can't get a hold of it. And then he can't make the 2 with Dunston hustling down the line. RBI for Dunston.
That's Dunston's 6th RBI this year. Here's Manny Trio. Trio has been to bat 4 times, 0 for 4. Strike called, fastball. 1 strike to nothing. The Cubs have 5 runs on 6 hits. The Cardinals 7 runs on 18 hits. He had a good cut, but he fouls it back. Manny Trio 0-2 to count. Martinez next. That's a fastball outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
By the way, Tony Pena has been trying to backhand the ball away from the right-hand hitters. Cubs could use one back to the screen. Would send the tying run to second base.
1 ball, 2 strikes. There's a fly ball, and the center field will be caught. There's a throw to the plate. Jody, of course, held up. So there's 2 gone, and here's Davey Martinez again. With runners at first and third and 2 out. The Cardinals leading 7-5.
Vance Law has kept up his streak of hitting in every Cubs game, and the streak of Dave Martinez is on the line.
Martinez 0 for 4. Dunston, a very fast runner at first base. Any kind of an extra base hit, he'd have a chance to score. He took something off on his slider for a strike. One run in, 7-5. That evens the count. Well, you can see the difference that even DePino did. Frank DePino. The last 2 runs were made off him. That's the margin by which they lead. Ooh, a nice pickup by Tony Pena. Boy, that was a fine play. A run would have scored. The tying run would have been a second.
Watch Tony Pena backhand this ball, but he keeps his body in front of it. And he's able to stop it from going to the screen.
2 balls and a strike. Strike 2 call. Boy, he's coming with all the mustard now. This crowd on his feet. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He fouls it out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We're in the 9th. The Cardinals leading 7-5. The pitch. Fouled it back and out of play. Again, Dibby had a good cut. We had the bases loaded with nobody out, but we couldn't get the base hit. 1 run scored on a force out, and the other 2 men are on base. Two and two the count. Fouled again, and Sean Dunston broke for second base. He'll return to first. Two balls, 2 strikes. Davey Martinez waiting. Again he fouls it back. And again he had a good cut.
Quite a battle going on.
The news will follow immediately. Men on first and third, 7-5 Cardinals. 2 and 2 on Davey Martinez. Ground ball to shortstop. He's got it. The game is over. Ozzie Smith stepped on second base for the force out. So 1 run, no hits, 1 error, and 2 left. The final score, the Cardinals have evened up the series by beating the Cubs 7-5. We'll be back with the totals and highlights in a moment. Budweiser play of the game, and happened in the 7th inning. Vince Coleman punches a single up the middle of Frank DePino, and that made the score 6-4. They added another run later on and win this ball game by the score of 7-5.
And here
the Budweiser play of the game.
I think a little too much Bob Warner tonight. Certainly a little too much Vince Coleman. Had 16 singles out of their 18 hits, and just wasn't the Cubs' night.
All right, go take care of that cold.
Okay, I'll do it.
All right, buddy. We'll be back with the totals now in just a moment. This series now is all tied up. The Cardinals won tonight. The totals were as follows: 7 runs, 18 hits, 1 error for St. Louis. The winning pitcher is Jose De Leon, the starter. His record now is 1-1. Todd Worrell got the save, his second of the year. And a game-winning RBI came across on a force play. It belonged to Willie McGee, his first such. And for the Cubs, 5 runs, 6 hits, no errors. 3 of the Cubs' 5 runs were home runs. The losing pitcher is Drew Hall. He is now 0-1. Final score again, the Cardinals 7 and the Cubs 5. Tomorrow, the finale, the final game of this road trip. Speaking now for Steve Stone, this is Harry Carey from St. Louis. Sorry we couldn't win the game, but it was a good one to do, a lot of exciting baseball. Final again, the Redbirds have evened up the series, beating the Cubs 7-5. Stay tuned now for the news. Our next telecast will be tomorrow afternoon. The Cubs take on the Cardinals here in St. Louis at 12:30 tomorrow on Channel 9. Our executive producer director is Arnie Harris.